Hey everybody, welcome to our essentials list. Today we are looking at exploration games. We are going to explore our favorite games, and I hope you do too. So here's what BGG says about exploration games, just to get it in your mind. They often encourage players to discover and search new areas or territories for particular objects or goods, and to search for people to become trading partners with. Okay.
Exciting.
Do you like exploration games, Lewis?
I do like exploration games. When you mentioned this topic, my mind kind of went out and I started thinking of all the various games that we play where you're opening doors and flipping tiles and going into new spaces. And I realized there are 10,000 exploration games. So I had to kind of start boiling down what type of game I'm thinking about when I say exploration.
Yeah, and for me, the thing I think about is, okay, I wanted different genres of games in my exploration. And like you just said, are you exploring new stories? Are you exploring new tiles? Are you exploring new cards? Or what is the kind of exploration? And I tried to give a variety here so that I diversify and it's not just all the same kind of exploration.
I did the same thing.
Okay, awesome. I'm really excited.
And again, we haven't looked at each other's lists, so
who knows?
Who knows what'll happen?
We do have some runners-up and or honorable mentions that might pop into space if we actually do have a crossover, which in the past we've had a crossover or two in our essentials list. So, Lewis, why don't you start us off this time? What is your first recommendation?
So for my first recommendation, I wanted something where you are flipping over tiles, trying to find the exit to where you're trapped.
Oh!
So I picked a real-time game called Escape.
You did not?
Yes. In Escape, your character, you're all working together. You start in a place, and you move to new areas. And you have to roll dice to get around, and you kind of uncover, you draw tiles and lay them, and you uncover this
temple,
underground temple, we'll say.
It's like a
and you're trying
temple
to get out of this cursed temple, and you have a 10-minute timer, and it's counting down, and it's giving you challenges throughout, and it's hectic and so forth. But I love the idea of we have to go out, find the keys to get ourselves, find the exit, and get out of here. And so that's the type of exploration that I thought we'd start with.
And it's cooperative.
Yeah, I love that.
That's fantastic. What a great idea that you're in a spot, and as you roll dice to unlock those connections, you have to flip over tiles and place those in the area trying to find things, right? Because you've got to get the stuff to get out, but then you also have to get out. And that movement can be, impeded by, I think your dice get locked. And so it makes you kind of hindered. And that's so fun and fascinating. I love the real-time aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of other things going on, but it is an exploration game. So I felt like it needed to be on there.
Wow.
What about your first choice?
Okay. So my first choice is all about exploring new locations. And every time you move to a new location, you are gathering goods and you're trading and you're really kind of like getting stuff. And for me, it was the perfect game for the definition that I read on BGG.
Okay.
It's called Almanac, the Dragon Road. Now, it may not seem like an exploration game, but there's this big map. And in the game, you start off on one page, and it's this spiral notebook you open up, and it's this location that has all these different actions, and these goods, and these worker placement opportunities. And then once you get to the end of that, you are going to select one of two different places to explore.
Right.
And then when you get to that place, one of two places to explore, and that place, one of two places, and you keep exploring this, and you take one pathway, which means the game is replayable, the game is fun, there are maps that we still haven't gotten to in that game, and I'm so excited about Almanac.
The Kickstarter
The
sequel.
Crystal Peaks.
Yeah.
Which came out in 2022. Comes out. It's coming. We don't have it yet.
We did back it.
But to me, that's the kind of exploration game that pairs with the goods and the sellers and the opportunities, the adventure. That's so exciting, because what's your map going to look like next? Where are you going to explore? It's very thrilling, and I love the secret nature of it.
Yeah, that's a really fun one. And the first few times you play through it, you really are discovering a new game every time you go to a new place. You're like, oh, what are we doing here? Oh, we're going down a river, or we're selling things at a market. You know, there's all sorts of crazy things depending on which direction you take. That's really good.
Oh, thanks. Okay, so what about your second suggestion?
So my second suggestion is a game that I have played by myself. It's a solo game. Now, you can play with more players, although I'm not sure I think that's the way to play it. I think it really is a solo exploration game.
Okay.
It's great. You've never played it. I've played it, and then I went upstairs afterwards and I said, hey, Kim, I just played this game and it was great and I had so much fun. And she said, teach it to me. And I said, no, it's just for me. I think this game's great. It's called Seventh Continent. And you've never played it.
I can't respond. I don't know how to feel about it. I don't know what it is. So tell me.
In Seventh Continent, you have a tile with a image of an area.
Okay.
And you can go to different places on the image, and you actually kind of have to look at them. It's almost like Unlock or Exit, those games where you look closely and you say, is there a thing here? And you go in, and you can investigate certain areas. You can also expand out, and you turn tiles out as you go further out, and you explore this space in this island, and there's all these little cards, and you'll go to something and it'll say, pull out card number 247, and you pull that out, and you'll find out, oh, it's a cave with a skeleton in it, and he's holding something, and there's just a whole adventure. Oh, it's so cool.
What? That sounds so fun.
It is so much fun.
You're so mean for keeping it from me.
Well, you can play it with two players where you take turns exploring, but
he wants to explore all by himself.
I wanted to do it all at my own pace.
Okay.
Because, you know, you might be moving a little slower than the other person and be like, well, what about this? And then if there's two people, I worry that I might have felt like pressured to go somewhere or to go in a certain direction.
I get it. I understand.
I think you should totally play it.
I think I should play it too.
There's a new version, which is also Kickstarted, called Seventh Citadel, I believe, and instead of Seventh Continent, and that'll be out soon. And I'm expecting it to be more of the same. And I Kickstarted it because I love the first one. It's so much fun.
Wow!
I'll teach it to you someday, and then you can maybe make a video for the channel.
I would love to. That sounds awesome.
So
yeah, Seventh Continent. Okay, well, it's in the basement, so I have access to it. I'm fantastic. I'm so excited.
Okay, so what's your second choice?
Okay, so my second choice is, and I could have made all of my exploration this subgenre, which is space exploration. There's nothing more exciting than exploring outer space and flipping over and discovering new places and locations and peoples and all sorts of stuff. And so I have Eclipse as my space exploration game. Is this something that you thought about?
It is. And I actually wrote Eclipse / Twilight Imperium / Zia Legend of whatever it's called. There's a few of these kind of space exploration games where you start on a tile and then you go out and you find new stars and new planets and so forth. I love games like this.
I do too. And honestly, I feel like the new second edition of Eclipse just makes the game so easy to play, so easy to pull out. I love the replayability with the different factions. You start off with all different start components and different level of spaceships and explorer ships and fighter ships, and there's just so much to it that it's not just about the space exploration, but that is the heart of it.
Yeah.
And so I think that you can't do well in technology, and you can't do well in building or fighting if you're not exploring and getting the land and getting the resources and getting all the stuff and putting yourself out there on the map, because the map builds as you draw new tiles. It doesn't exist until you say, I'd like to cross over this threshold and look at this hex over here. And there are 3 different rings, and so you have like an idea of maybe where you're exploring, if it's close to the center, the middle, or the outer ring. And so there's just so much excitement about turning over tiles and finding out what you found. And I think space exploration, particularly Eclipse, does that for me.
I think Eclipse was my favorite game for a couple of years.
Yeah, I think so too.
love Eclipse.
I think it was.
And I think the new edition is a better version of Eclipse, and it's a pricier game.
It is.
And one of the reasons I didn't include Eclipse or Twilight Imperium, which I think is also very good, is they're pricey.
And they're big.
They're big.
Yeah.
They require a larger player count to really get the most out of them, and they take time to play.
Yeah.
But if you've got the group and the time and
Yeah.
the money to put it all together, and the table space,
Yeah.
I think there's few experiences that really open up that idea of exploration more than a game like Eclipse.
Oh,
good
fantastic.
choice. Solid choice.
All right, here's your last one. This is it.
So my last one is also a second edition. This is Mansions of Madness, second edition.
All right.
Specifically second edition because it has an app that plays as the game master and runs all the behind the scenes rules.
Yes.
In the first edition, one player has to step back and run the mansion and the bad guys and so forth, which I never enjoyed as much because I always felt like I was against the other players.
Yeah.
But in Mansions of Madness second edition, you play investigators who go into haunted houses or haunted towns, and you explore and you go into rooms and you talk to people, and monsters show up and you run around and try to find hidden objects and so forth.
Poking around in rooms and grabbing stuff and, looking closer at things. And it does feel like you don't have enough time and turns to do what you want to do, and so there's this wonderful pressure of prioritizing your choices, but it's all about exploring.
You're always exploring. You go into, I'm going to go into the kitchen and there's a question mark over by the stove, so I'm going to hit that question mark for my action, find out what's going on at the stove, oh, it's soup, and I'm going to drink it and get extra healthy. I don't know what happens.
The soup was poisoned.
Maybe it's poison. But it's not the same vastness as exploring a galaxy.
Yeah.
But you're exploring a house or a town or whatever, but it still has that mystery and uncovering tiles and so forth, and I think that's just a ton of fun.
Yeah.
So I think this game does it better than most. Mansions of Madness second edition.
Fantastic.
And your final choice?
All right, so my final choice is a game that I feel like I wanted when I was younger. I was growing up, and there's this choose your own adventure aspect to it. And it's all about exploring, and we have yet, even though we've played the game one time through already, we have yet to explore the full vastness of Sleeping Gods.
I figured. I knew it.
Yeah, so Sleeping Gods absolutely hits that exploration for me because you get to explore all kinds of things, and it's just so fascinating and fun and engaging and just full of story, and everybody's working together to defeat creatures, to find artifacts, to uncover all sorts of stuff. And you just look at a map and you flip to these pages. It's a spiral notebook, and you're like, well, I'm here on this page and it looks like I've got all these options. And you just drive around in the Manticore, and players just play a number of characters. And so it's fun. You don't just have to play one person. You get to play everybody on the whole ship. And you can have different outcomes.
Looks like Muse has been exploring. She came by to explore.
Ready. She's ready for us to be done with our list. She says,
is. Well, I will say real quick, Sleeping Gods is fantastic. All these games are so much fun. They are pricier. They generally tend to be kind of pricey.
It's part of the story, though, I think, that these have. And I think that story is part of that immersive quality of the exploration. That's why you get so inspired and you feel so excited and you want to find out, well, what's in this house? What's in this crazy house? Where is this thing that I want to find this stuff? I want to uncover everything and open up the book and read the stories and choose all this stuff in Sleeping Gods. And I don't know, I just feel like there's just so much to love about these exploration games that might be big and expensive and time consuming, but that isn't the case for Escape and isn't the case for Almanac Dragon Road. I think those are more straightforward, and they're still just as fun. They're still just as exciting.
But I do feel like the games we've talked about are kind of essential if you want to play an exploration game.
For me it was fantasy, choose your own adventure. That's my Sleeping God subgenre. My Eclipse is my space exploration, and you want it epic? Well, Eclipse gives it to you epic style. And the other one is more of my worker placement, exploration of different locations in my almanac, The Dragon Road, and all of them are so replayable. So if you do invest in something, you're going to play it again and again and again and again. So it's not just a one-time experience. Yeah, this little squirrel, she wants to probably go OUT. But thank you so much for joining us. Lewis, do you have any final thoughts on exploration or any runners-up that we didn't mention? I didn't have any crossovers with you so far, but maybe we have one on our runner-up.
Well, I think that Lost Ruins of Arnak is a bit of an exploration game. There's a lot of other stuff going on, but it's a new game. It's super fun, but you're exploring the jungle. And Quest for El Dorado, which is a racing game and a deck building game, but I think there's a little bit of exploration too as you move through the jungles.
A little bit.
It's not enough to make the list, but I think those are great games. What about you?
For me, Gloomhaven is all about exploring, and I thought that was a really great pick, but it's big. It's giant. Frosthaven is coming out. If anything, I'd recommend Jaws of the Lion.
Yeah, that's a good starting point, is Jaws of the Lion.
And then another space game, which I didn't want to have two space games, is Beyond the Sun. And I thought that was a really great game, but it's the space exploration part of it is like teeny tiny compared to the technology track, and so I felt like the exploration was eclipsed by the technology track.
Eclipse.
Yeah, eclipsed by Eclipse. But again, this was really fun. I love thinking of these games and these essentials. Perhaps you've got your own essentials for exploration that we didn't talk about, we didn't mention, or didn't even cross our minds for that exploration that just kind of like scratches that itch for you.
Yeah. So
put them in the comments below, and thank you for joining us and for getting a chance to hang out with Muse too. That was really fun.
These things happen.
Yeah, they do. Anyway, we'll see you next time. Bye. Are you ready?
I am.
Okay. Musie, are you ready?
Yeah.
Those nails are getting too long.
They're so
starting to look
long.
bow-legged.